You're welcome back to the Gavel. Now, when you talk about Nigerian prisons, what quickly comes to mind are problems of overcrowding, poor hygiene, inadequate infrastructure, poor healthcare system, huge numbers of awaiting trial inmates, and so on. Now, add vulnerable people to this scenario, and it's a whole different kettle of fish. Vulnerable people, in this case, are women and children. I had a chat with a legal practitioner, barrister Nneoma Albert Benson, and she shed light on the plight of women and children in Nigerian prisons.
The prison itself is, from its inception, it looks like a system that was created for men. So there was really no provisions as to, okay, when gender provisions, to make provisions for, okay, what if a woman is in prison, what if this happens, what if that happens, especially when you're talking about women and talking about children and talking about pregnancy and all of that. It's really not sectional when the prison was actually created. So this is kind of a gap. So now when you find out that there are women in prison, there are women who are pregnant in prison, there are women who have children in prison, you find out that the law does not make any provisions for such. So the law is very straightforward about the rules surrounding the prison system. So this is actually something that is of a great concern, knowing fully well that the crimes committed by women they are generally less serious, and that women likely most times do not have the likelihood of recidivating. So there are so many issues surrounding women being incarcerated the same way men are being incarcerated. So this is actually something that gives room for a lot of concern. And being someone who is very passionate about women, I look into see wherever a woman is. So if I find a woman in prison, I am very much interested to know what is the condition of the woman in prison, because that the woman is in prison most times awaiting trial. That means all the woman's right has actually not been vitiated. So it actually should give us concern to know the kind of livelihood the woman has in prison.
Now, I was reading a report as at March, we have 9 pregnant women in prison and 3 babies in prison, in Kirikiri prison in Lagos. How did this happen? What is the scenario?
Well, that is something that we have come to live with, because you find out that our system has a lot of lacuna in so many places. Normally, it's supposed to be if a woman is pregnant or if a woman gives birth in prison, there are supposed to be very good social welfare services, foster care services, and these are all services that are actually statutorily provided for in most of our laws. But they are just in theory and they are not being practiced. So you don't, the prison officials are not responsible for taking the babies away from the women when they give birth in prison. And then if you incarcerate a pregnant woman, there is really no legal provision of, okay, she's pregnant, she should wait until after she gives birth and all of that. But the truth is, our laws provide for alternative modes of incarceration, which we are not exploring. And that is basically what we are trying to campaign for, the probation system. And we found out that there are so many women who are in prison who ordinarily should have been on probation. But because of the statutory lacuna that we have, and basically because of these structures are not in place to institute most of these systems, then they are in prison.
So now we know that the Criminal Justice Act has been amended, and so you're looking for what exactly would you want the National Assembly to be doing as regards issues of women in prison, vulnerable people in prison?
What we're looking at what we require the National Assembly to do, we need very good policies that are supposed to explore alternative modes of punishment. Not really incarceration now. So that is the reason why we said if the National Assembly actually they have the rights, the exclusive rights to make these laws and to pass these bills into law. And most of the justice reform bills that are before them are what we expect them to pass into law. And most of this, we've had a lot of people campaigning and talking about probation. And if the National Assembly can look into this and pass most of these bills, especially regarding probation, into law, then the government will be able to put in place the structural policies and the structural facilities that are needed for the probation to work. It's something we can do, because we are doing a lot of things already. We have the mobile system, we have our car tracking devices, we have a lot of things, because people are complaining about data, how do you track these prisoners and all of that. But I don't think it's something that is far-fetched, because we have like 53,000 inmates across the country. They are not as much as the number of people that use one global communication network. So this is something that to get a data for the prisoners around the country is not something that is far-fetched. It's not something that is impossible for us to do. And I think we've gotten to the point of having technology enough for somebody on probation to wear an anklet and to track him. We just set up probation offices across the country, probation officers and all of that, and train them.
Now, some people have, expressed concerns and fears about, the issue of probation. Looking at a country where we haven't even been able to put an effective identification system for each Nigerian. How would this work, given, the structure of what's happening in the country right now and the mess we're making about the national identity card system?
Well, I don't think this is actually something to be, they are not really synonymous. Because when you're talking about, I think we relate it more to, we have bank accounts. We have so many other things that require complex security.
BVNs?
Yes, BVNs. These are issues that require complex security. And I think we're doing a good job at it as well. So if we're introducing probation, it's not just about having an ID card. Everybody is not going to prison. So it's just a fraction of our population that's come in contact with the criminal justice system at some point. So if you say, for instance, somebody is wearing an anklet and you need somebody to track him, I don't think it's something very difficult for the government to set up, especially because we just have to set them up in particular areas of the country, and these people are also restricted. The movement of people under probation are also restricted. So you find out that when he moves from here to here, just like we have our car tracking devices, you're able to know that, oh, my driver is going to Gariki Y. I sent him to Wusetu. And you call him up immediately, and you're able to do stuff to stop him and track him. So I think it's something very possible for us to do. It's not just like the BVN and all of those stuff. So I don't think we should really relate it to that. It has been an excuse that has kind of clogged it and, delayed our institution of this probation system. And I think we should move past that.
Now, there appears to be a disconnect between the police and, the Ministry of Justice, the magistrates. You have situations where you have a high number of awaiting trial inmates, some of them women, vulnerable women, which you have pointed out. In the amendment of the criminal justice system, what you are seeking for the National Assembly, how would the National Assembly address this issue of high numbers of awaiting trial inmates and vulnerable people, vulnerable women in the prison?
I think there is need for us to create a statutory body as well, involving everybody, all the stakeholders in the criminal justice system. That is not really available. We need to create a body where all these people are together on one table. They are able to discuss their challenges, the judiciary, the Ministry of Justice, the police, the prison. There is need for that, because that has actually created that, this person is working, this person thinks this person is not working, and this person, that has actually created a gap. So I think there is need to create that body to bring them together, to put them on the table. Let them realize what the problems are, and let them be able to bring up issues that can alleviate most of these problems, because people screaming from everywhere is really not helping. So if we're able to get them together on one table, then they are able to realize that, oh, we don't have speedy trials. Why? Why are we having so many people coming into prison and then finally they are discharged and acquitted for nothing? That means they didn't commit the crimes. Why? Is the police just arresting people and bringing them in? Why are they all coming to prison? Why is it taking so much time between the time of arrest and the time of going to courts? These are the things that these people need to come together and talk to themselves about and discuss it. So it doesn't look like hearsay or people are just talking and all of that. So that body is really very necessary.